The punch should be half straight and the glass half full. This is precisely the slogan held by the famous Emanuel Augustus, who did not achieve great heights in boxing, but definitely went down in history as a fighter with the most extraordinary style of a drunken master. Welcome to Full Contact, and in this video, I will introduce you to an extraordinary fighter whose record did not reflect his real skill. If you thought that the drunken master style was only possible in Jackie Chan films, then you were wrong. There was a man on Earth who combined the style of boxing with kung fu techniques. Emanuel Augustus began boxing at the age of 17 and boxed as an amateur for 2 years, but he found such fights too boring, and he brought his brilliance to the world of boxing. At the age of 19, he turned to the pros, where, thanks to his style, which was nicknamed the Drunken Master, he immediately won the hearts of fans. So that you can immediately understand what we are talking about, let's look at the fight between Augustus and Ray Oliveira, which took place on July 8th, 2005. By the way, Oliveira is a former contender for the belt and not some kind of drinking buddy. For a drunken master style, Emanuel's leopard shorts matched his leopard print reactions and speed well. Unlike many show-offs in the ring, Augustus did not just show clownery, as many might think at first glance. He was a serious tempo boxer who bombarded his opponent with punches just as well as Pacquiao. At the same time, he combined boxing with an elegant dance defense, which made his opponent's attacks doubly difficult. The fight ended with a stoppage win in the 8th round with a smile on his face for Augustus and tears in his eyes for Oliveira. It is better to fail in originality than to succeed in imitation. Emanuel, without a doubt, became a part of boxing history, if not with his achievements, then certainly with his style. Augustus has had a very checkered career, despite the fact that he owned the light welterweight belts. IBF Intercontinental, WBO Intercontinental, WBC Continental Americas, and WBO Oriental. He never learned what it was like to be a true champion in the main versions. But Emanuel probably didn't really want this. Or rather, he didn't want to betray himself and change his style for this. Do you know why I decided this? I'll tell you after the fight with Mayweather, which took place on October 21st, 2000. It was a golden time for May when he showed top boxing and did not mow down the money by showing off with punching a tomato cans. Emanuel showed what the public loved him for: a frantic fight, body defense with arms down, and a hail of blows against the invincible champ. Many admitted that the Drunken Leopard won the entire close battle, but the money bag at that time was a real monster. And at a distance, he worked like a mongoose against a cobra. Emanuel never fell during the fight and went on a tough attack. But in the 9th round, his corner threw in the towel. And so that you understand what kind of battle this was, listen to the words of May.
Emanuel Augustus was my toughest opponent thus far. And, his record didn't show his skill set, but the guy was unbelievable.
Now let's return to the conversation about belts and add Floyd's words here. The above-mentioned Emanuel record was like this. 78 fights, 38 victories, and 34 defeats. At first glance, victories and defeats are divided in half, which is typical for any average class fighter who is put up for prospect fighters to set records. But the fact is that the Drunken Crusher received almost all of his defeats by judicial decision. If you ask me, how is this possible? After all, he delivers twice as many punches during the fight as his opponent, but misses fewer. The fact is that for a judge from the world of boxing, such a manner of fighting is interpreted as unsportsmanlike behavior. Boxing is a matter of gentlemen. That is why I said that he did not want to betray himself and change his drunken style in order to win on points, but always remained a dancing master. How stupid or devotedly this is, decide for yourself, but for now we'll watch the phenomenal battle against Mickey Ward, which took place on July 13th, 2001. The drunkard entered this fight at the last moment as a replacement, so he did not have a full training camp, but entered it as if it were a Friday sparring match. And by the way, Mickey Ward is a top boxer who has touched the jaws of many top boxers. As you may have noticed, the fans spent the entire fight standing. After all, the boxing world is unlikely to see such a fight from the first to the last second of each round. When two masters of close combat meet in the ring, one of whom appears drunk, this is a spectacle for true connoisseurs. Phenomenal multi-hit combinations of 10-15 hits from Emanuel delighted even chess players, and Pac-Man himself would have envied the frantic pace he maintained. But Ward is not a sugar baby, rather a strong Irish whiskey, which, although it did not reach the pace of Augustus, pressed by power punches well. It's already the 8th round, but the men are not slowing down. And looking at Augustus, aka Burton on the judge's notes, it seems that he is filling himself with new fuel between rounds. To maintain such a pace in battle is phenomenal. But let me remind you that he did not prepare for this fight. If a truck driver runs out of fuel, he has to drive sober, but when Ward runs out of fuel, he starts hitting less, but still just as hard. In the 9th round, he still hits Emanuel with his signature liver punch, taking points for the first knockdown in the fight. And the fans are still on their feet and wildly rejoice at every cent spent for this fight. the 10th final round, which will decide who is who. Many professional fighters of our time are kicked out by the coach into the 10th round, and the audience sees athletics in the ring instead of boxing. But these men are from a completely different era. Chopping from the first to the last second remained the main goal of these tanks, even without fuel in the tanks. The judges' notes from Teddy Atlas, an independent expert, show a draw. But outside the ring, they give a unanimous victory to Ward. And the difference of 8 points on the cards is generally baffling. It seems that the judges initially decided to rob Emanuel, even though he was better in terms of the number of hits and made 100 more hits. This fantastic fight was recognized as the fight of the year according to Ring magazine. It's easy to be rich and not brag, but it's hard to be poor and not complain. But when you are constantly interrupting your opponents and the judges are robbing you, it is unrealistic to remain motivated and in the mood for a fight. But Augustus did this all his life and understood perfectly why this was happening, but he did not change himself. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, ring the bell and share the video on social networks, and write in the comments if you like the Drunken Master. Or are your fights in bars more harder? Your fights in bars.